This week in biology, we are talking about cell transport. Cell transport is how materials get in and out of a cell. To start, we'll talk about some important terms that you need to know so that the rest of this video will make sense to you. The first word is homeostasis. Homeostasis is the ability to maintain a stable environment. Cells need this ability to be able to do their job because, as we learned with enzymes, when the environment isn't just right, the functions are not able to occur as they should. Another term we will use a lot this week is concentration. Concentration in the context of biology is the amount of something. And finally, concentration gradient. Concentration gradient is the difference in concentrations in an area. For example, before the start of the school day, we have a lot of students outside of the building and few or no students inside the building. So that gives us a concentration gradient because we have more of something on one side than on the other. Next, let's talk about the types of transport. There are two types of cell transport. The first type that we will discuss is called passive transport. Passive transport is the movement of materials from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. It's called passive because it requires no energy to do this. What cells want is to have equal amounts of things on either side of the membrane. So when there's a disruption to that and there's more outside than on the inside, you will have more things moving into the cell. The second type of transport is called active transport. Active transport is the movement of materials from an area of low concentration to an area of high concentration. So, but the difference is this uses energy. because what the cell wants is to have equal amounts, and this goes against that. So it takes energy to move things out of a cell without any coming in. Next, we will look at the details of each of these types of transport, starting with passive. There are 3 types of passive transport. For all of these, it will be the movement from high concentration to low concentration. So we'll just describe what kinds of things will be doing that type of passive transport. The first one we will talk about is called diffusion. Diffusion is, of course, the movement of materials from high concentration to low concentration, but these will be small and non-polar, meaning they don't have a charge, molecules that go through the cell membrane. So they just wiggle right on through those phospholipids. We will diagram each of these in class. The second type is called facilitated diffusion. Facilitated diffusion is still movement of materials from high concentration to low concentration, but these are for large and or polar molecules that go through a protein channel. So they are too big to wiggle through the phospholipids, and so a specific type of protein will be in the cell membrane that will allow those things to go in and out. But they will still move in or out of the cell based on the concentrations of that molecule. The last type of passive transport is called osmosis. Osmosis is the facilitated diffusion of water. Only the movement of water, but water gets in and out of a cell through a protein channel. Next, we will talk about the different types of solutions that a cell can be in, and that's how we know in which direction water will flow. First, let's define what a solute is. A solute is what is dissolved in a solution. So let's think about salt water. Salt is the solute, water is the solution. One type of solution a cell can be in is an isotonic solution. In an isotonic solution, the concentration of solutes, or how much of whatever is dissolved in water, is equal on both sides of the membrane. So water moves in and out equally. Let's draw a picture of what that looks like. So here is my cell, and the dots will represent the solute, maybe salt. So here we have about equal amounts of salt on inside and outside of the membrane. So we will have some water flowing out and water flowing in, water flowing out, water flowing in, but it's equal. The next type of solution is called a hypotonic solution. In a hypotonic solution, the concentration of solutes is higher inside the cell. So more water moves in than out. This causes the cell to swell and when that happens, it may burst because there's just so much water in there and the cell membrane can only grow so large. Let's draw a picture for that scenario. So here is our cell. We've got some solute on the outside and lots of solute on the inside. And when that happens, more water will move in than out to balance that out. Some water will still move out. So we have some water going out, but much more water is going into the cell instead, so that the concentration is about equal on both sides. The last type of solution is called a hypertonic. Hypertonic solution. And this is the opposite of hypotonic. Here, the concentration of solutes is higher outside the cell so more water moves out than in. And when that happens, the cell shrinks. So here is our cell. We've got some solute on the inside and lots on the outside. And so in search of balance, we will have water moving out, water moving out, water moving out, but still some water moving in. The last thing we need to talk about are the types of active transport. One type of active transport is called endocytosis. Endocytosis we can think about like cell eating, where the cell brings in large materials. An example here would be an amoeba, which is a single-celled organism that lives in a pond. When it needs to eat, it is just one cell, so it does not have a mouth and a digestive system like we do. It surrounds the food particle and eats it like Pac-Man style. So that is an example of endocytosis, and you'll get to watch a super cool video of that. The opposite of endocytosis is exocytosis. We can think of exocytosis like cell pooping. And don't you worry, I have an even better video of that. And so this is the secretion or release of materials. So when the cells in your adrenal glands need to release adrenaline for you, they are just exocytosing all of that. The last type of active transport is really more of an example, and it's called the sodium-potassium pump. So when we defined active transport earlier, we had said that it was the movement of materials from low concentration to high concentration using energy. And so in the cell membrane, there is a special pump protein that pumps sodium out and potassium in. And since that's going against what the cell naturally wants to do, it does require energy. So the sodium potassium pump is a protein pump that pumps sodium out of the cell and potassium in using energy. And that is all I have for you on cell transport. We will diagram and do more practice with this when you come to class.